Sorry about that. So many things to think about in these things. So, all right. So where were we? Lasting influence. Yeah. Hold
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. There we are.
Okay.
Hi everyone. So again, people will do anything for those who encourage their dreams, justify their failures, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, and help them through rocks and enemies. So this really is everything that your content should be about. I think it's kind of, you want to be focusing on helping people kind of have that transformation they want, their dreams, justify, kind of have empathy in terms of kind of maybe things are not working. Allay their fears, like you're probably a version of your client, so you're talking about the fears they have of actually stepping into something new, and confirm their suspicions, that it's not always going to be rainbows and unicorns in terms of what they're doing. Confirm their suspicions about kind of that things aren't going to go as well as they think it is. So actually basically showing people through your content that you're meeting them where they're at. You have an understanding about the problems and hurdles and challenges that they have. So I thought this was a good phrase that Blair came up with. So lasting influence. So what I'm talking about here, it's basically having influence. You want to influence the person you're talking to at a meaningful level. So most people have two identities, two versions of themselves, if you would think about it. So basically a shell identity, that's your everyday identity. That's the person we put out to the world, or kind of our functional role we do, kind of, we're an accountant, lawyer, engineer, whatever. So, I was a former engineer, I was sort of identified as being an engineer, but there's actually the true identity, the identity you truly want. Most people, you read the statistics, most people are in the wrong job. They actually want to be doing something else. That accountant who wants to become a life coach, for instance. So that is the identity that your content should be talking to, the strategy that you're thinking, to kind of really move people at that true identity level. As I say, dive deeper into the core desires to attract and speak about their core beliefs. So that's to say, it's not the surface level, it's really that level underneath in terms of those core desires that you want to kind of move. As Blair says, that the underlying suspicions or the desires that person wants to speak their core beliefs. So lasting influence happens when you speak to your customer's subconscious. Again, it's probably saying the obvious, but you want to be talking at that subconscious level. Those dreams that people have, they're waking at night and they're worrying about something, or the problems that in their business, or they're dealing with something that your services or you can solve. So you want to be talking at that subconscious level. You can't really control your subconscious, but you can guide it. Now, if anybody's had subconscious, they have these thoughts that are coming and going all the time. But you can guide, you can actually focus it in terms of how you're going to achieve lasting influence. So with guidance, your subconscious can create a new core identity, and this new identity can speak to your market. So as I say, you're probably a version of your client. So you went through that in terms of the beliefs that you've had to change to become that person you are today. And that new core identity that you have is the new identity you want to speak to your market about. So when you identify that core identity of your market and communicate it with you more power and influence, then you're seen as an authority, you're seen as someone to be trusted. And once you've seen as something you trusted, that's when the magic starts to happen. So it's getting in touch of your core identity that your market can resonate with. So the core desires give us the core gives clues to your core identity, allows you to start communicating the core desires of your customer, as I say. You know, why are you here? You know, it might be a surface level question. You know, get more clients, make more money. That's most people, and you know, coming into this business. You know, they want more clients, they want to make more money. But what's the real purpose of this? For what purpose is this? Have more time and financial freedom, spend time with my family. That's what we really want. And that's what you really want to be talking to in your content, and talking about that final destination, that purpose that people have. It's not, you know, money on its own is useless, but the money, what can that money give to your client? It gives them more financial freedom, spend time with family. So that's really in terms of identifying the core desires of your customer. So the struggle is, obviously we're taking people on a journey. You know, if you're a coach, you're in the transformation business. You're not in the information business. You're in the transformation of going from where they are now in terms of pain they're dealing with to a new reality, you know, pleasure, in terms of you're taking from pain to pleasure. What are the hurdles they face? So what are the top things they want? You know, focus on kind of those things that they really want, will make the most impact in terms of their lives. What messaging can you make it about them? It's not about you at all. Keep on reading content with a lot of eyes in it. You can certainly use yourself as an example in terms of moving people, but I always try and, in my content, it's all about them. I don't really use a lot of eyes. I use you a lot, or you or we a lot of my content. Now, what possible ways new thinking could be, what possible ways of thinking about things could be incorrect? So as I say, this is about shifting beliefs. You know, maybe your customer is maybe thinking they need to do this, X, Y, and Z, when actually there's something else. The real problem is actually probably not the actual problem, but they need a funnel. I'm talking about marketing here, but they need a funnel, or they need a website, or they think sales is bad. So they have a conception about what things are. Or maybe your idea is actually you don't need any of these. Well, then my services, you don't. You know, all you need is a social media platform to get clients. You don't actually need all of this other stuff that people say you need. So more on struggles. You know, in terms of what belief they need to achieve their goals. So who will they need to become? So talk about that transformation again. Who will need to become that person they've always wanted to be? What headlines get their attention? You know, headlines are so important in your content. So that's the 80-20 rule, kind of 80% is in the headline, 80% is going to get people to actually read the rest of your content. So headlines are very important. I'll give you some ideas later on. What stories can you think in your life that they can relate to? I'm a big advocate for stories, and I'll talk about some stories I have in terms of your story, their story, a transformation story, your backstory in terms of how you became where you are now, your hero's journey story, about kind of the journey you have been on to become that person you are today. So all related about them. It's all kind of to relate in terms of what they're going through and the struggles that they're dealing with. Well, what challenges could they face? We're all dealing with different challenges in terms of becoming that person we want to be. Life gets in the road. There's so many things everybody's dealing with. You might not think those are important, but that's actually, people are so interested in terms of that because they can self-identify with that in terms of their own struggles and challenges. So some polarizing content. I always advocate, not vanilla content. There's far too much vanilla content around these days. You want to be taking positions on your content about kind of what and putting it out unapologetically. In terms of, you might feel resistance in terms of kind of, oh, should I put that out? I always take the view, if you're feeling that resistance, that's a reason why it should be going out. You shouldn't be afraid to put yourself out there, even though it might scare you. I had a quick story for you. I had a client who was in the toxic relationship space, and she was talking about, she was afraid to put her story out, but I knew that her story would resonate with so many people in that situation. So eventually she went through some kind of breakthrough, some belief, and she actually put that out and got massive amount of interest in terms of her story. So I can't say enough in terms of get over yourself and actually put out content that you think is potentially polarizing, because that's the content people want to read. Shock, these are sort of examples, by the way, in terms of kind of give you an idea. Some shock value content, I almost died kind of thing. It's kind of it can lead into kind of an epiphany moment in terms of something that happened in your life. Controversy, certainly controversy. Why Trump is the best president ever, kind of that will certainly get people to sort of read your content in terms of why you particularly like that, feel that way. Hyperbole, kind of, this is the greatest, most sophisticated training ever. What you feel is that you're bringing to your client. Tragedy, I heard the door close, something that's happened in terms of that again that might resonate with your audience.
The greatest, more sophisticated training.
Comedy, not kind of, I haven't used any comedy or some kind of it's a very peculiar thing in terms of comedy. People has different views on what is funny or not. I personally don't use it, but obviously if you have any maybe situations that are entertaining, and obviously they could be used in your content. Obviously people coming to platforms want to be entertained, so comedy has a role in terms of within your content. Taboo, thing and topics not usually talked about. Now this is again really important. I have a client who's in the alternative cancer space, and she's talking about alternative therapies. Now that is for people who are more traditional in terms of cancer treatment, that could be quite controversial. So think of topics not usually talked about. You can put that might provide value to your audience. Esoterics, or the masses won't understand it. So challenging norms, challenging kind of what conventional thinking is. That's always good content. In terms of people always want to read that. Contract industry change, funnels to CRM at the minute. So things are, obviously things are changing all the time. Maybe your industry is changing. There's some things that are evolving. So you bringing that to their awareness in terms of something that's new is a good conversation piece. And last one's confirmation suspicions. Now that's one of the first quote was, what gurus don't want you to know. Now I've seen this quite a lot in a lot of content. I'm personally not a big fan of this. I don't like bashing people and kind of using maybe slightly manipulative ways of kind of getting people, but obviously this can work. I've seen it quite a lot. So that gives you an idea in terms of polarizing content. So again, I would advocate, or looking at your content, looking at sort of would I want to read this? Is the headline grabbing enough? Would I want to read the rest of this piece of content with that would change something about me, have a new realization that I didn't have before? Does that make sense, people?
Yes.
Okay, good. Everybody's very quiet. Okay,
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
all right. Thanks, Rennie. Okay. I've talked about polarizing content, but that's sort of the topics and kind of, you want to think about. And actually the structure of your content, you got to be congruent. There's nothing worse than reading a piece of content that is all over the place. It starts while it goes in a different direction, then comes back or goes in a complete, and it just sort of, it's not readable at the end of the day. So I'll give you some examples in terms of how to compare your content with congruent. Hook, attention grabbing headline. We talked about headlines. This is congruent with the rest of the message. So you've got to have a really a grabbing hook. That hasn't to be, manipulative in any way, but it should be attention grabbing. Next, second is curiosity. Now I'm a big fan of curiosity in terms of you want to be holding the interest of your reader when you or the video. I'm not talking about, written content here, a kind of video as well, in terms of holding the interest of your reader. Use personal stories, relatable situations to bond them on that core level, that core identity that they want to become. So curiosity is a very big factor, and I use it quite a lot, both in terms of my messaging when I'm talking to people, that gives a hook on them in terms of the curiosity that they want to find more. And then obviously it's what's in for them. Everybody is selfish. I keep on saying this, that people don't wake up in the morning wanting to coach. They wake up in the morning wanting the problem solved. And you are a problem solver as a coach. So it has to be what's in it for them. Remember, your content is not about you, it's about them. So tell them how you're going to help them. So when your content you're reading, it's actually, there's some value in there that they can, it's a small stepping stone to kind of to helping them on a path of self-discovery. Six is success. Now, congruent is obviously, if you can showcase your successes and transformation you have achieved. So you've got social proof, some client stories, some interviews. You're going, showcase that success and the transformation that you have achieved with that. That's very powerful content. But most important of congruent content is actually add the call to action. I can't believe how many people have read a piece of content, nice piece of content, and it's just left hanging. No one's actually asked to actually take action at the end of the day. I go back to my first slide. You're not writing content for the sake of writing content. You're writing content for people to move them along the customer journey, to kind of take the next step with you. Either that be going on, joining your Facebook group, doing a masterclass, doing a workshop, kind of moving them on to actually direct call to action to actually work with you. So I'm not saying kind of do every post as a call to action, but I think the majority of your posts should be having a call to action at the end of it. Yeah, common mistake. I don't ask people to take action or make offers in their content. No. Making offers, that could be a direct offer or it could be an indirect offer. It depends kind of how warm your audience is, how, what your personal brand is. If you have a very strong personal brand, you can make more direct offers. I'm more in terms of indirect offers. It's actually moving people to another area where you can nurture them more fully, actually move them onto a Facebook group, or move them into events. If you've watched my content, I'm doing an awful lot of events. Every kind of 2 weeks, I'm running events. So I'm moving people from my content to an event. I'm warming them up about kind of different aspects about a particular theme that I'm doing for that event in my content. So I'm moving people along the customer journey. These are some ideas about in your content. Drop a comment below. It doesn't have, it's a low friction. You don't want to make it complicated. Don't put links in your content. It's just Facebook doesn't like people going off the platform. I don't advocate putting links. Easier to make it low friction is actually just drop a comment. or if you've asked a direct question in your content, and say, hey, do you have this same experience? And get debate in your content. So you're actually getting debate in the comments below your posts. This is one I use quite a lot, is give me a hashtag workshop if you want to be included. I'm getting hashtag some kind of that the theme of that piece of content is, the action I want people to work is, okay, I'm running a workshop next Tuesday in my group, hashtag workshop if you want to be included. And then, moving people to, to different, into my Facebook group where I can nurture well, give value, and then make an, make an offer, whatever. You're moving people through from potentially cold, warm to hot. And also scarcity. It's a strictly limit to 15 people. So, if you've got an engaging content, people are engaging with it well, and then put some maybe impetus for people to take action, and scarcity in the right way. I'm not talking about false scarcity here. There's a lot of people. I'm talking about strictly I can only take 15 people in an intimate setting in my group, or kind of a workshop that I'm running. So make scarcity can do that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Oh, is anybody doing that? Is anybody? Probably a lot of people are doing that. Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Good. Okay, next one is, as I say, we're using our content to kind of move people to make the next step. So this is stepping stones, where basically all of these, all of this content, the strategy we have is actually stepping stones for them to kind of work with you. It's you're just dropping in stones for them to sort of take that leap and say, yeah, I'm ready. And that may make multiple touch points. I think the thing you needed, I don't know, about 7 or 8 touch points before people will actually take action. So it's a long-term strategy. So you're not going to get one piece of content that's actually going to knock it out of the park straight away. It happens. There's viral content. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. But most of it is kind of multiple touch points and say, yeah, I really trust that person. I identify with that person they're talking to, that identity, that belief, that I embody. Yeah, that resonates with me. So the next step is actually to pre-sell the solution. So yeah, again, stepping stones analogy. So they're on one side, you're on the other. So you're throwing rocks in the river so they don't have to jump so far. So you're kind of put with the content, laying down all of these different things on it that for them to kind of say, yeah, I think I'm ready. And then you say, what about another? And then they say, okay, they're more likely to be able to make that jump in terms of, yep, I would like to know more about how this could help me, how your service could help me get that outcome that you talk about. So you're always pre-selling the solution, maybe indirectly or directly. Okay. Does that make sense? Anyone have any comments on that?
Yes.
Okay. So some examples. So this is some of my content I just took off recently. Now I usually do content around themes. As I say, I'm running events kind of every 2 weeks. So I've got a theme for 2 weeks. I have a content planner that says, okay, I'm doing, like I'm doing today, a content strategy about kind of what a content strategy looks like. So the content strategy would be, I'm running an event in 2 weeks' time. Okay, what type of content I want to talk about on different topics to kind of support that event. So I'm talking about, and this particular one was around stories that sell. I think it was the particular event I was running. So this is all about stories and the power of stories to kind of influence your prospect to become a potential customer. So these you can see again the story. The first one, the story is not about you. So again, I'm challenging a bit. People write about the story, but it's indirectly you're talking to your customer. It's never about you. So, absolute truth. So, I turn a kind of challenging beliefs. I don't want to read about your fantastic life is or a poem you're 14. I want to read something that can help me get me somewhere else. Kind of talk about what's in it for them again. I want to read about something compelling I've not heard before. Playing through a single post is probably enough. If you're brand new to content writing, nobody knows who you are or why they should listen to you. Being a leader in your space doesn't happen overnight. Talk about going viral. Hoping a single post sticks when the truth is much different. A long slog of building mountains of previous work. Falling in love with the process of content writing or videos. And then delayed gratification is your best friend. Reaping reward later on. Not the skill to writing post. I'm not telling about, it's nothing about grammar or spelling. I'm talking about sentences that flow, writing with passion that pulls in your reader and keeps them there. Your word should flow easily, and that comes from doing the reps. And then I go into soft call to action. If you want to know more about writing a compelling story, I'm going in a webinar. I'll spill my content writing secrets, drops, #signature. So I'm kind of baking down belief about stories, the power of stories. It's not, it's a consistent process. There's no secret hack to writing a viral story, but there is a thing about kind of how I'm giving some a call to action about writing a compelling signature story, basically your story that can anchor basically your content on your profile or in your group. So that was the call to action. So that's the structure I use. Kind of about 250, 300 words. I don't like long posts. I find them a lot to read. Also, kind of, I say the way I've put spaces all between my content, so it's easy to consume. There's nothing worse than coming to a piece of content that's hard to consume. So if you're thinking about writing, think about spacing it out. Think about the reader, and it's readable, and it's getting across a single idea. As if you're talking to that person in the same room and having a conversation. Again, there's the next one. There's about stories again. That's about triggering in terms of exposing yourself too much. Trying to get people that actually that is the best part of your story. If you're being triggered, people want to know about that. Telling a no holds barred story adds another dimension to your content. So let's say I'm sort of challenging people to actually put themselves out there. And then there was a call to action again in terms of webinar, craft your signature story, post writers to below. So those are the sort of content you want to be, but with an overall strategy of it's moving people to something. Don't think, putting content out without a strategy is you're just throwing it out and hoping for the best. Is not a winning strategy. You're moving people to an event, a workshop, some kind of maybe lead magnet cap, whereby you're moving people to sort of take that next step with you. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Is anybody using that around? Anyone?
Trying to, it's not that easy.
Yeah, it takes time.
Practice. Yeah,
it takes time. You'll find your voice. Like if you look at my content 12 months ago, it was terrible. It was just awful. It was. But think about content through your day. You're kind of going through your day, you think about something, and then some event, something happens, and you can weave that story to something maybe your customer, your potential customers dealing with, and that's a powerful way because people resonate with stories. They come back to the story framework. I think it's just really a powerful way of kind of connecting with your audience. Okay. All right, another example. Now, this is a guy I follow quite a lot, Manny Wolf. I know, we check him out. He's on social media. He uses this story model, a question mark story model, and this is a post he did about getting people into his workshop mastermind. And he talks about first, this headline: imagine having the most effective marketing strategy in the world. So that immediately kind of would draw you in, and sort of what you would say, well, yeah, I would like to know about what the most effective marketing strategy in the world is. So he reads kind of every time you post on social media, your jaw hangs on your every word. So he's building up, the why this is why stories effectively are the best marketing strategy. Find the perfect system. Use blurry picture. He's being granular in terms of some of the elements of it. Every business owner has a story, but you hardly ever hear it told in an organized and compelling way. Yeah, and let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this is a big missed opportunity. Instead of hiring an agency or marketing expert to build positioning and persona, use your own life your own life story to do the job. He talks about his own. Yeah, we have all the stories we need. All our content is actually within us. You are your best story. It's possible that you already released bits and pieces of your life through your marketing efforts, but every coach and business owner has a story to let them do what they do. And we often mistakenly think that nobody wants to hear the hard, ugly parts of our journey. We don't want to show that we're once weak or highlight flaws. Absolutely true. If you look on social media, it's everybody has a shiny life and everything's brilliant, and it's far from the truth. This mistake causes small pieces of personal stories here and there. The audience will get enthralled with you, and they won't be trained to watch your post for more. Imagine, you're just drip feeding people about your own life and stories around that life. That's much more magnetic. Magic of storytelling, right, is what attract your super fans. Interested in how you made it through your unique struggles. We talk about that struggle again. That they'll read every piece of content you produce. They'll join your group, follow in channels, engage. Most importantly, they will buy. Yeah. Now, if you're working in a crowded niche, like many of us are, many of us on this call probably in very crowded niche, because most niches are saturated in terms of what is unique in your niche. What's unique is you and your story. That's what's unique. You stand out from the crowd. So he goes on to a pitch for his question mark story model. Breaks down the writing, kind of what it does, and he's used this story to make over $2 million. So obviously it works in terms of his own story. So, blah, blah. And even if you can't relate directly to things you've experienced, they will feel a kinship because everyone has walked through the fire at some point in their lives. Yeah, it's all about kind of that. It's getting that connection. Maybe it's something that they can't relate to, maybe your circumstances, but they're being specific enough that they sort of see something mirrored in their own lives, what you're talking about. And then it goes on to, you can grab my free training link, blah, 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 and comment below. So again, that's a story, a call to action post around storytelling and selling stories as a means of client attraction. So this stuff isn't rocket science. It's not hard once you find the flow of getting into that persona of your client, potentially going to buy your services, of the transformation you want to achieve for them, the identity and the beliefs and the mistaken beliefs, or the things that is keeping them up at night, that you can articulate in your content and move them into a new reality, a better place, and the desires that they want. So, okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Any comments from anyone? I think that's more or less the end of it. I've got one more slide which I want to give you guys. But any comments of any of that? It makes sense? You don't agree? Agree? Disagree? Renee? Anybody? Sandra? Laura?
Yes, thank you, Michael. I think it's really good points that you have been giving us here.
Yeah.
Yes, and I really like when you are making an emphasis that we can be the story, and people will be more interested, and also will get more value. So I think it's really good point, the one that you are giving us here.
Yeah.
And also the offering that you are talking about, the question mark story model. So
Mhm.
I will be interested in that.
Okay, I would. Yeah, Manny, I do it part of. I kind of do another bridge version of that in my own services, but kind of the question is, if you can introduce so much stories into your content, you're never going to lose. You just, you know, the how-to content or the educational content, or that it's overdone. It's not. There's no emotional connection. At the end of the day, you want an emotional connection with your reader. Whatever you're putting out, you want that to be a connection, and your story is that connection. And a visceral, if you're putting out content that's quite visceral and kind of quite confronting, that's actually a better connection. You're showing yourself to be vulnerable, and putting that out, and people will appreciate that. So I would advocate stories in your content, and making that a core pillar of your content strategy of of the transformation that you've gone through, and the transformation you're getting for your clients, and the stories around that. Okay, I think that is everything. Now I've got one more slide, which everybody holds on. I will give you. I think it will interest anybody on this call. So all this is about kind of I've been working kind of one-to-one with a lot of clients on this particular in terms of content, on story models, the whole organic strategy. So I've kind of taken everything in one-to-one into a group coaching model over 12 weeks. So I'm going to celebrate kind of this starting in July. I'm giving one lucky person work for free for that 12 weeks. So if anybody's interested in this call or watching the replay, I've got a link here. I'll put it in the chat as well. You want to put your details in, you're in for the running for this 12 weeks business coaching group. Now, I go through what we talked about here, content strategy. In terms of a content planner, we'd be working in terms of getting that right for you, particular niche or business that you're in, to make sure you're getting hands raised and moving people, along the customer journey to buy from you. So that is something people might be interested in. Kind of, if they're interested, I will say I have the link here. That is the link. If anybody wants to take a screenshot or photograph that, I will put it in the chat. That's right. Sorry, put that in. If I can put it in the chat. Chat. That is the link. If anybody's interested, more, be doing the draw in about a couple of weeks, I think on the June 6th, in terms of that, or in terms of when I'm officially starting my new group coaching program. So, to say, I'm only taking a small number of people, kind of 15, because although it might be sort of group coaching and kind of, it's actually a more intimate setting. Maybe a different platform, maybe going, whatever is not working in your business, we're going to be fixing it in a group coaching setting. So I hope everybody got value from that. Hope you put your details in to win that group coaching. And I'll be in any last comments from anybody. Anything I've said or you don't say or don't agree with me, or always open to some feedback.
I really want to thank you, Michael, for this presentation, because you, at the beginning, you were talking about how we get content and which elements do we have to include.
Yeah.
So something that maybe I was a little bit confused, the way that we need to ask when you're talking about artificial intelligence technology is the way
Yeah.
that we need to ask to the GPT chat. Is this what you're saying, or?
No, I'm exploring actually that at the minute, but I think there's been an awful lot of hype around kind of, what can an AI bot talk about your story? So your story is unique to you in terms of kind of it's, there's a way of talking about your story to kind of weave, the way to influence others. Kind of, we talked about that lasting influence, but I think, I think, you have a story to tell. Just get it out there in terms of kind of what you want to say. But I say, make it about them, not about you. I think AI and whatever, obviously it's a great tool and it kind of write content and kind of people are giving you about all different things about it. But at the end of the day, last time we looked, people want to deal with people and they want to have that connection with someone who the affinity with, in terms of that affinity bridge you have and your content and your story and kind of what you went through and how you, that's what's going to get people, that's what's going to get people. That's what's going to get people to move at the end of the day. I don't think an AI bot is going to write your story. No, I can right.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments or anybody?
No, I just want to say thank you as well, Michael. Just when I think you have taught everything, you come up with some more very valuable points. So thank you once again.
No worries.
Just a couple of more things, and I certainly will implement those. But thank you so much.
Okay, no worries. Thank you, Rennie. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Sorry about the mix-up in technology, but as I say, anyone wants to put their details in and win that 12 weeks coaching, please do, because it's I think it's game-changing. I put everything I have the last 2 years into that program for really to supercharge your development and getting high-ticket clients, because most people want to be adequately compensated for their services. A lot of people are just broke. 90% of coaches are broke. So that program is a high-ticket offer. So we'll be working on that offer to make sure you're actually getting adequately compensated for your services. So put your details in, and I'll see you in another webinar. So I'm doing these every 2 weeks, and I'll post it in the group in terms of my next webinar. Hope people will attend.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Okay, thank you. Everybody have a great day, evening, whatever. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.